Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start my stream properly. We've lost a little time to technical difficulties in a computer. Well, not a computer. The internet crashing, probably because of computer difficulties. Um, and so I might need to get a new computer, or else this is going to keep happening. But I'm going to consult with the computer wizards I know. So computer wizards, watch out. I'm going to be asking you questions after stream is over. So this is Disco Elysium, though, which doesn't have computers. It has some other weird, inexplicable technology. I don't have a big introduction that I wanted to do. I did notice when I booted it up, the loading screen basically told me to put on clown shoes, because they're like, basically, ordinary people are much more forgiving of people saying weird things if they're people of like in positions of power, like cops. So the game is backseating, but it's allowed. Otherwise, I wanted to point out, just as like a little joke thing, somebody commented on the death scale, and we have both the death scale, which we saw last time, and the drama queen scale. Nobody here has, like, and by that I don't mean any of you, nobody here in the game has required me to pull out the drama queen scale. As you can see from the drama queen scale, it was inspired by Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core, and Kojima. You might notice Kojima himself is on the drama queen scale. I played Metal Gear Solid 1, and they needed to go on it. So if it becomes relevant, we'll start putting characters in this game on it. The only thing I can think of in Disco Elysium that would go on the drama queen scale is the necktie. And we could put the necktie on here, but I'm not sure where it would go. Also, hello, thank you so much for dropping by. Irrelevant Anon. I appreciate you. And anyone else who's originally from YouTube, thank you for making the jump on over to Twitch. I appreciate it. I'm glad you've been enjoying the YouTube videos, and I hope you enjoy hanging out with us live as I go on lots of tangents. I apologize if I'm a little bit out of sorts. It's funny, like, you know, like if you're like kind of like performing or something like on stage and then something interrupts you, sometimes it like throws you and you kind of have to get back into your groove. Computer issues today kind of did that for me. But yeah, so the only candidate I can think of for the drama queen scale is the necktie. I feel like the drama queen scale is fairly explanatory, or self-explanatory. If you know Crisis Core, Genesis is off the charts. I hated his presence in that game. And you can see kind of like who is where on the scale. This is not the most updated version of the scale, but we can put the necktie on it if we feel so inclined. The deadness scale, the death scale right up here at the top is I'm not mad at chat. It's just Irrelevant Anon is the name that individual has chosen to go by, and I will respect their name of choice. But yeah, the deadness scale may or may not come up again. We'll see. We are playing a cop investigating a murder mystery, and other people might die in it. But now you know. I like to overthink everything. That came from Dark Souls. We'll see what kind of weird shenanigans and inside jokes we can come up with as Disco Elysium continues. I don't have any big thoughts. Like, there aren't any phoom. That's my impression of the sound that it makes. There are the phoom going around in my head, having played this game last week and then had a week to think on it and feel bad. But I'm not sick. I was having a really rough first half of the week, but I'm doing a bit better today, so we're good. So the game is encouraging me to maybe I am actually doing worse mentally than I think I am. We'll see. We will see. If I start making really questionable choices or having a really hard time articulating what I'm trying to say, that would be an indication that problems are continuing. But I do have another doctor's appointment in 2 weeks, and we're going to see what we can do from there. So, yay. I am looking forward to continuing to maybe get better. So, yeah. Disco Elysium, folks. That was an unrelated ramble. Should I cut that for YouTube or leave that? I don't know. Anyway, we have the stormtrooper boots on this dead body. I feel like I did a pretty good job digging for information from the dead body, personally. But I wanted to wait and think about whether I'm ready to call this done, because the game makes it clear that once you cut the body down, you've cut the body down and the body investigation is over. Which is good. I appreciate it from a gameplay perspective. I appreciate it when games let you know what the any point of no return is, even if it's like a minor point of no return end of a conversation. I've kind of figured out by now the like some of the pattern of how conversations go. The game has also told me, like, if it says or does this, that means that will loop around or end the conversation. But this is, I think, the first time that they've really had somebody be like, hold up, once you've done this, you can't do anything more. Cuno, meanwhile, is singing a pop song at us. I think that I'm supposed to say ground. I'm helping. So shall we go ahead and conclude this? Because I think at this point... No, not you. There's a whole lot of things that have... Wait, why do all these things have exclamation points on them suddenly? Oh, that means that they're new and there's a whole bunch of them. Oh, okay. I didn't realize I hadn't looked at it since I went inside and tried to find the smoker. Once the body hits the floor, you can't investigate it anymore because it'll probably all come apart. Okay, so add even more beauty to the wall. So there's the wall father. Oh man, I am really looking forward to seeing what comes of that and whether like Ocelot and Cindy bond to construct some sort of. I don't even know what's going to happen there. You've seen an exceptionally beautiful wall in Martinez near the pier and have decided to add to its beauty artistically. This will take a brush first. Who would have one? Then paint, and then the act itself. So, presumably if I hadn't talked to Cindy, I would be like, gosh, I have no idea. And then when you talk to Cindy and you see her red paint spilling out like blood all over the wall, that you would be like, oh, I wonder if she can help me with the wall father. But I've already almost finished that conversation. But I didn't finish that conversation because I just wasn't sure what to tell her. So, we'll see. Run the number on the victim's armor. Yes, you discovered a serial number on the victim's ceramic armor boots, hereafter known as stormtrooper boots. Run the number, singular number, using Lieutenant Kitsuragi's shortwave and his motor carriage. The radio in his car. All right. Where is the rest of the armor? The hanged man's armor seems to be missing. Find out what happened to it. The kid throwing rocks at the corpse seems to be a good place to start. Ask him about the body first. Ask Cuno, the kid throwing rocks, what he knows. I've already talked to him. I'm not looking forward to talking to him some more. Inspect victim's body. Okay, inspect the body hanging in the backyard of the Whirling in Rags. This is a preliminary inspection. You just need to suppress the urge to throw up and approach it. You're in, do a preliminary inspection of its different parts, which is what I've done. So presumably once I close this and cut the body down, that will strike this through. I wonder, maybe I should talk to Cuno before, because he might run off or become harder to talk to if the body's not here for him to throw rocks at. Let's see, the victim's tattoos. You have a photo of the hanged man's tattoos. Maybe someone can decipher them, tell you what they mean? You should probably talk to about 2 people about them for this. Ask around about tattoos' possible meaning. Oh, I'll have to think about it. Who would be a person to ask about that? Yeah, Cuno is a character. That is true. He is a character. I dread talking to him. He made me so uncomfortable the last time. And I know that he's supposed to. So well done. Let's see, and then the smoker on the balcony. Visit apartment number 28 sometime after 2100 to see if anyone's home, which I think we're actually at now. I think I've taken so long doing everything else. That I think we actually managed to do that okay. Did we? No, we're not quite there yet. We're close, though. I wonder if that means that Kim... No, because Kim said tomorrow. Well... I have to make decisions. I don't know if I can make a decision. Alright. I suppose I should talk to Cuno. Is it Cuno or Cuno? I think it's Cuno. The game will remind me. I'm sure. Cuno. It is Cuno. Okay. Ooh. Not you. Look, it can be hard. Throw the pig. Does he mean throw at the pig? Is that what she's saying? Am I the pig? Because I'm the cop, and that's how slang works. Yes, over here, Baconator, time for lunch. And he's like shooting at me with his hand. I've never met a kid like Cuno before in my life. I'm from like very, very squeaky clean suburban. Our kids are so pushed to be perfect children that we had one of the highest suicide rates among teenagers in the nation when I was in high school. So it's a very different kind of environment and children with very different problems. Still troubled. We also had one of like the highest rates of heroin usage in the United States among teenagers. So that's the environment that I grew up in. It's not the same. Very different. Very different experience. So. Oh, man. Cuno's got this. Is he gonna throw rocks at me? Last time I tried talking to him, he threatened to scream like I was attacking him. I didn't like that. I guess I'll try this.
Fuck does Cuno care?
The boy turns to you. He doesn't care. Oh, man. You may retry this, it says. Okay. Oh, wait, check. I really want to do this one. Yeah, coin flip to discover his deal. What is his deal? What is his deal? I mean, to be fair, empathy is my best thing. And if I do figure out what his thing is, it could make him more cooperative, or it could make him more uncooperative. A game that was simpler than this would have it be like, you have to solve the puzzle to unlock this character's cooperation, and it will definitely be a good thing that will result in you getting what you want. There are games out there that are like that, you know? This is not one of them, though. Sometimes if you pick somebody apart, even if you pick an adult apart, sometimes they will then avoid you because you know them too well. With children, especially if they've got problems with authority and you figuring them out is like an authority figure type thing. I don't know. I'm going to ask some questions here. Apologies in advance for any harsh language or conversation topics that Cuno says. Content warning, Cuno. I think that is something that was said last time. Is the cat still on my hat? No, the cat is not here. So the hat is here. I'm like already dreading having him like talking because he's going to say stuff that's just going to make me really sad. Cuno tent warning. Yes. Yes. All right. I'm going to discuss the body with you again, Cuno.
The fuck about it?
I'm going to ask some more questions. Do you know how it got up there?
Probably climbed. Cuno was busy down the road when that shit went down.
So you didn't see it happening?
You heard Cuno. Cuno wasn't even in Martinez. Cuno wasn't in Revachol. Cuno wasn't regional.
He puffs himself up. So his tendency to refer to himself in the third person is not something I'm accustomed to anyone doing in English. I know that that is something that young children do in Japanese, not just in anime. Apparently, like it's actually more like a thing. I wonder if it's something to do with pronouns being more complicated and challenging to use. Whereas if you just say your name, then you don't have to worry about any of the changes from subject form, object form to different like degrees of appropriateness. You just say your name. You know that. That's the thing you know. I don't know. No, I think it's I don't think it's that he's a weeb. I'm just really curious if that's something that other children here are going to do, or if it's specifically children in his kind of situation, or what. It is uncommon enough that it feels like, to me, like I don't know if this is a part of the setting or if this is something specific to Cuno himself. So he says he was not even in Revachol. He wasn't regional. Well, where were you, Cuno? Maybe he's gonna tell me he was Batman. I don't know. Or flying high as a kite. I don't know. I was actually wondering about that because the bookseller's daughter, she is very well spoken, and proper. She's kind of the antithesis of Cuno. But it is hard to say because when children have different expectations or different environments, they can grow up so differently and present themselves so differently, regardless of age. So I don't know. I really don't know. Says he can't be older than 12. I don't remember how old she is, though. Young enough that it's child labor if she works. So we shut that down. Let's see. Where did you go then?
I don't know. Some fucking...
He looks around trying to come up with something. Oh, man. I'm sorry, child. I didn't mean to put you on the spot here. At least this is, like, very conversational. Like, doesn't at this point it no longer sounds like Ocelot is grilling him. It sounds like Ocelot's just like, oh, okay, well, what's up with that? How's this going? Just pretty informal. I don't think that's going to get anywhere with Cuno. I don't think anything I do or say is going to get anywhere with Cuno, but I'm going to try. And I'm going to try to fight my own discomfort to see if I can find compassion and empathy to get through these conversations and see if maybe we can unlock some sort of squishy middle inside of him, but I don't expect that we will because you can't do that with everybody.
Mesco, or I don't know, some other place. Night City. Cuno is in fucking Night City.
Night City. What is that, like Wall Market?
There is no Night City anywhere. That sounds like the name of a city in some pulp science fiction novel.
Do I call him on it? Or do I play along? If I call him on it, he's going to react badly because that's authority telling him what to do. And nobody's telling Cuno what to do. But if I play along, he's going to be like, oh, you're so stupid. I pulled one on you. That's what I'm used to people who are difficult in some ways, responding to things. I do actually have experience with troublemakers as a babysitter. But not, again, I don't have really firsthand experience with somebody who's quite as, there's a word for it. This degree of resistance to any sort of authority figure and like kind of like this brash abrasiveness, just not easy to get to know. He is definitely confrontational. That's not quite what I was looking for. There's authority of, oh gosh, I can't think of it. He is a goblin child. No, that's true. That's true. No, they've been designating it as like almost like a, I don't remember if it's technically counts as a mental illness or something, but it's a diagnosable condition of being something about authority. Unpleasant. Oppositional defiance disorder. That's it. Yes. I think I'm going to armchair diagnose Cuno as having oppositional defiant disorder. I think I think I feel pretty okay doing that. Again, he's a fictional character, so I can armchair psychologist all I want here. Nobody's actually going to be harmed by it. There is, okay, that's not entirely true. If you like psychoanalyze fictional characters, sometimes the way that you do that, whether it's because you're being judgmental or coming to conclusions or reinforcing stereotypes or whatever, can actually wind up affecting other people in real life who have that or are close to that situation. So, insubordinate syndrome. Yes. Thank you. I'm glad you all knew, because I was like, there's a term for this and I couldn't think of it. It was driving me crazy. But this is why I can outsource my brain to you. All right. I'm gonna play along. And if he thinks that I'm an idiot, it's fine. As long as Ocelot doesn't snap. But she's capable of snapping. But I'll try to hold him in. We'll see what we can do. See what the game lets me do, and we'll see what I feel like role-playing. Where is Night City?
Cuno gives this info out on a need-to-know basis, and you don't need to know. Cuno didn't smoke the gimp, if that's what you meant.
No, I actually don't think that Cuno killed him. Sorry, Cuno. I don't think you're capable of that.
Thanks, Cuno. That's one name you can now cross off the list.
Logic and I high five. Where's the rest of his armor?
Cuno doesn't give a shit about the armor.
How come?
Cuno's fuck gimp's got one big thing wrong with him. He's a fucking mutant.
I think he's talking about the body here. I think he's saying, I don't care about the armor because something's wrong with the body. So I will ask him, a mutant?
Look at him. Fucking growth hormone shit. He's a giant. The armor's too big for any man.
Okay, Cuno. First of all, I mean, we as Kim observed, I think Kim observed, somebody observed that the body clearly worked out, like was very, very buff. But also he's like swollen from decomposition. So I don't know that he's actually a giant. However, as Inland Empire must point out, it is possible we could have some sort of a super soldier here. Technically, I have no more reason to disbelieve in the reality of a super soldier serum or something equivalent in here than I do magic realism, ghosts, and curses. I simply have a personal bias towards believing in magic in settings like this. But we could also have Captain America. Or not. There we go. See, I was like, I'm going to just discount this. And I was like, I probably shouldn't just discount this because I should be more consistent considering other things. Could be science magic. Well, and I mean, also kids. Well, it's like if you go back to a place that you haven't been to since you were a kid, you're like, wow, everything is so much smaller than I remember. So that is a factor. But Cuno thinks that this man is impossibly large. But Kim didn't say anything about that. And I'm more inclined to believe Kim and value his opinions as being grounded in reality, logic, etc. I don't know why I would do that, but there you have it.
Cuno doesn't give a shit about that freak armor. Cuno threw that shit away.
What? He drills his temples with his fingers in some strange, aggressive gesture. He's being weird. Like, weirder than usual. I mean, okay, maybe the mercenary dude was on steroids, but that's not what Cuno said. Cuno said, like, that he's a giant. So, I can interpret that as potentially involving super soldiers. Probably not going to have some sort of grand government conspiracy where it turns out that the fictional UN what are they called? I don't remember what they're called, but you know what I mean. That they have been pumping up some super soldiers, or perhaps the evil corporations in this not quite cyberpunk dystopia, but definitely corporation run. The coalition. Thank you. That's it. There's no real reason to think that they are making super soldiers. There's no real reason to think that there are any super soldiers here. But I am obligated, as somebody with points in Inland Empire, to share the possibility that that could happen. We don't know that it's not. We don't know the setting. We don't yet know if that's actually viable. Could that actually happen in this setting? I don't know. I genuinely don't. But I think it's unlikely. All right. So he threw the arm away. I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. I wonder if he tried it on and got really upset that it didn't fit him, and because he clearly has problems with emotional dysregulation, he was so upset about it that he threw it away. Which means, like I said, I can go digging through the trash and pick it up, which is probably what this is going to lead me to. I wonder if I could then sell the armor and then have a place to stay for the night. Let's see. Because the way that they describe this strange aggressive gesture, to me that sounds like somebody who is losing control of themselves. And their emotions are so big and they don't know what else to do about it, and so it's kind of like coming out in physical action. I've struggled sometimes with out of control emotions myself, not like this, but enough that I kind of understand the feeling of having big emotions and not knowing what to do with them. I think that in school they should teach kids to identify their own emotions and accept their own emotions and work with their emotions in a healthy manner. I think that would be very useful, but unfortunately that's not what the purpose of the educational system is. So, well, because he got excited about something and then it disappointed him. The thing is, if depending on whether my read on Cuno is correct or not, people who have a major problem with emotional dysregulation, they are, like, the way that they react to things doesn't necessarily make sense from an outside perspective, and it looks like they're overreacting. But the thing is, people are pretty much always reacting reasonably to their own lived experience of what's happening. And so that's actually the principle of dialectical behavioral therapy, which was invented to help people with borderline personality disorder, which is a very challenging thing to treat with traditional means. That you have to simultaneously validate the feelings that somebody is having and saying, you know, from where you're sitting, the experiences that you've had, your perspective, the feeling that you have makes sense. But then the dialectic, the part, like the two side of this, you have to be able to hold two conflicting thoughts at one time. So the counterpart to that is, yes, it is valid for and reasonable for you to be thinking and feeling the way you are based on where you're coming from. However, something is, like, the way that you behave based around that still needs to change. And so a lot of that has to do with learning to sit with your discomfort. Like, it's kind of, it's a similar technique to what is taught to people with chronic pain. I feel like, I'm sorry, we're going here. Give me a minute. So when people are dealing with chronic pain, you can't just get rid of it. And when people are dealing with overwhelming emotions, they can't just not have them. If they could just not have these problems, they would just not have these problems. But the problem is these things exist for a reason. So if you have chronic pain, something has gone wrong that is causing that pain. And unless there is a way to fix it, the pain isn't going away. With out of control emotions, you can't just not have those feelings. You can eventually kind of learn to rein them in and get better with them. But especially as you begin treatment with this kind of a thing, your feelings aren't going to go away, but you can't act on them. So you have to sit in this really, like, okay, think of a time when somebody said or did something that hurt you really badly and you lashed out. I'm sure for every one of you, there has been at least one time, even if you can't think of it offhand, there has been a time that somebody said or did something and you lashed out. And do you remember that feeling of like searing hot on fire? And sometimes you'll lash out at a person you love, and say things you would never normally say, and you regret it kind of once you've cooled off, but you can't control that. All humans pretty much have had that experience to some degree. And I think when you look at somebody who seems to be overreacting to a thing, use your empathy to remember what it was like for you when you were pressed in some extreme situation and you couldn't control those feelings. And understand that just as people who have chronic pain, something is off causing that pain to flare up when it maybe shouldn't. Like, especially if it's like nerve damage or something like that, where there's not actually something wrong. It's the sensors are broken. So you just get an alarm that just goes off and nothing is actually wrong to trigger it. It's just that it broke. You can't control that and make it not hurt. And so for somebody with out of control emotions, more things hurt as badly to them. Like, they feel that feeling of out of control emotional pain, that intensity, that you can react, or you can relate to it because you've had that moment that you lashed out at someone. Imagine if you felt like that regularly. Imagine if you felt like that a lot. You get tired, you get worn down. You know, like the whole concept of being like hangry, when your body's in rough shape, then your mood goes. Like, when your mind is in rough shape, it just gets worse and everything hurts worse. And so I think it's essential in understanding, because we have this tendency to want to punish people because they hurt people. But punishing them when they're in pain, if somebody's lashing out because they're in pain all the time, how is punishing them and hurting them more going to stop that? How on earth, from any reasonable perspective, is that actually going to resolve the situation and make them stop hurting people? That's just not how it works. You know? If somebody's arm was just on fire and it's burned and they have just a burn, how is punching them in the arm going to make them behave better? It's not. Like, the only way you can treat that is by not trying to make the pain worse and trying to understand why they're acting the way they are and what can be done to manage that. And if they are open to treatment, then they have to learn to just grin and bear it, to just be like, I'm hurting. This sucks. I don't like it. It's not fair. Feels like the walls are closing in and everyone's out to get me, and this person just that I love just stabbed me in the back, and I'm terrible and everybody hates me and I should hate myself, etc., spiraling downwards. And you kind of have to learn to be like, okay, this sucks. I feel bad. But I can't act on that. I just have to deal with it. Because things will be worse if I act on it. So I just have to tolerate. So but it's called building tolerance. Learning to tolerate pain. Learning to tolerate discomfort. Learning to tolerate fear. So if you know somebody who's in heavy duty treatment, in DBT, for example, one of the things they're learning to do is just accept that they're going to be in pain a lot. Emotional pain. But one of the reasons why people cut themselves is because physical pain is less bad than emotional pain in some ways. That's one of the factors, one of the things. Emotional pain is really hard. Yeah, you lose, you're not at the wheel. You lose control of what you're doing. And so I hope that this is like a helpful perspective on this sort of thing. I think it's really helpful to try, if you're a person who doesn't struggle with overwhelming emotions, I'm glad for you. That is one thing you don't have to deal with. I'm sure you have your own struggles, but that is one you don't have, and I'm glad for you. But if one thing that can be helpful is remembering that people react to things the way they do for a reason. Karens react to things because they are accustomed to getting their way and thinking about themselves as important without ever questioning that. And so when they don't get their way, the universe is out of alignment. That's where they're coming from. Do I like or sympathize with them? No, but I get where they're coming from. And that is essential to understand, like, how will we eventually break that down? Well, we get these people to come to terms with the fact that the world doesn't actually revolve around them. And depending on the circumstance, if somebody is not being malicious about it, you can kind of approach it with some empathy about where they are coming from and be like, I mean, you are important. Your feelings do matter. However, other people's feelings also matter. So can we find a compromise? Anyway, I'm sorry, this is a big long tangent that doesn't actually have anything to do with Disco Elysium, but these are things that I know a fair bit about and care a lot about. And in the case of Cuno, like I said, I've never known a child firsthand who had such severe behavioral problems as Cuno has. I think we can all make a generalization here that Cuno probably doesn't come from a good, like, safe home. And so Cuno's oppositional defiance disorder comes from growing up in a dangerous and unstable environment at home, and perhaps in, like, his outward environment outside of his direct home as well. And so Cuno, as many people who grow up in that kind of traumatic environment do, he has no, I mean, presumably nobody's modeled how to healthily manage emotions, and nobody has made his emotions important to them. And so he's kind of had to, like, fight to prove that what he feels and thinks and wants matter, because the outside world isn't reflecting that back at him. And so all this to say, like, from our perspective on the outside, why is Cuno mad about the armor? Why would he throw it away? Why is he doing this? It doesn't make any sense. Okay, so you try a thing on and it doesn't fit. Why would you be mad? You might be, like, disappointed and be like, well, that sucks. Why would you, upon remembering it, be so overcome by emotion that you start gesturing in this, like, out of control way? Well, because wherever Cuno is coming from is not a good place. And that's interesting. That's characterization, man. Anyway, that's a tangent. That's sort of related to the game, but I think I'm going to go back to the game here. See how we go from here. Thank you for indulging me, folks. Again, this is something that I care a lot about. And I encourage everybody to do some degree of work on yourself and understanding your emotions and where they come from and what you're feeling at any given time, so that you are at the wheel, and also so you can understand when other people aren't. All right, back to Disco Elysium. What do you mean you threw it away? This to me sounds like Ocelot is getting angry himself. Maybe flabbergasted. We'll see. Maybe it's on topic. Maybe mental health is on topic for Disco Elysium. I don't know. We'll see.
Cuno tried to get the helmet on. It was too big.
He performs a kickoff on the imaginary helmet. So he, like, drop kicks it, I guess. I assume. I don't know what a kickoff is. It's like on the ground and you kick it. I don't know.
Cuno kicked that shit in the sea, rugby style. That shit means nothing to Cuno.
You threw it in the sea. And he's so asserting that it does not matter. It does not matter. What's funny is how ridiculously expensive this armor is. Enough to change Cuno's life. and he threw it in the sea. That's interesting. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah? That shit means nothing to Cuno. Cuno doesn't give a shit about material shit. Cuno's a fucking monk.
This is something that he is repeating to himself. Because he keeps saying the same thing over and over again. And the game's narration points out also he's repeating this. This is something he wants to believe to help him manage his out of control disappointment. And that once again something in life has disappointed him. It's not like I care anyway. It's not like I care anyway. It's not like I care anyway. If I tell myself this enough times, it's not going to hurt anymore. It's not just about the helmet. Things are almost never just about the one thing that's right in front of you.
You wanna fuck on someone about that armor? Go fuck the mustached union fuck. The jolly troubadour shit at the gates.
Oh, I think I know that guy. Is that the one that sits? Is that the guy who the guy who's like perched, whose name is like Call Me Tomorrow? Mañana, I think. We'll see. Well, who do you mean troubadour? It's a bard. So I'm guessing from Cuno's word choice, I do think that he reads actually, or else he listens to or watches entertainment of some sort, and he likes fantasy and science fiction. Because Night City sounds like it's some science fiction. And maybe if I picked that option, we would have wound up having a conversation about science fiction. Not a nice conversation, but maybe a conversation of some sort. But Troubadour is like, that's like I play D&D or read Dragonlance or watched Lord of the Rings or something like that. You know, like that's the kind of environment in which you pick up that word, I feel. Which is plausible. Alright, well, who do you mean? Troubadour.
Yeah, cock and boot. You know that jolly union cow fucker? Came around talking about cows or some shit? Came around pretending like he cares about cows?
So you see, there's some projection happening here. Cuno doesn't care about anything. Nobody else actually cares about anything. Everyone's just pretending about everything anyway. Probably people have... Cuno is probably finding a way to shift the world to make it make sense that the people in his life who should be there for him and should be supporting him are not doing so. I don't know about cows. I don't know what he's talking about cows. He also might have misunderstood what was being said. We'll see.
Yes, you met him at the gates. The one with the boots and the jolly smile.
Thanks, visual calculus. Look at that. I remembered something. I even remembered the character's name. I'm so proud of myself. My memory. Incredible. All right, you mean Mañana?
Yeah, he's the one you want to talk to. He's fucking crazy about that armor shit. Coming here pretending like he likes cows. Trying to catch a peep at Cuno's armor.
Interesting. So he heard that Cuno had the armor. Why would he... Cows? I don't know. So he's trying to get the kid to give him the armor. Obviously the kid's not gonna.
Curious, my liege. Why did Cuno feed you this information?
That is interesting. All right, drama. I wasn't thinking about that because I'm busy psychoanalyzing this kid, and I'm like, this kid could just be angry and blurting something out. He does not seem calculating to me. Drama, on the other hand, thinks he is, even if it's fairly simplistic calculatingness. Of course, drama has to deliver it in an unnecessarily eye-rollingly dramatic, curious, my liege. It's like, come on, drama. Why? All right, and you're just telling me this out of the kindness of your heart. Cuno wants me to go kick that guy's ass.
Yeah, Cuno's doing charity today. Cuno Day. Cuno feels sorry for you two loser pigs. Cuno's doing pity now.
Oh man, you know, he is kind of funny when he's not being like egregiously offensive.
Still, seems suspicious. He may have it in for that guy. Or you may be paranoid. That is also a possibility, sire.
That's true, drama. At this point, I'm more likely to believe that drama is over questioning things than that Cuno is being some sort of a strategic manipulative genius. This is not actually manipulative genius stuff, but still, you know what I mean. You know what I mean, right? All right. Have you seen anyone suspicious around? He's probably going to point at me. This, to be fair, this is more forthcoming than he's been in the previous conversation. No, we did not get the body down because I wanted to talk to Cuno before we got the body down. Yeah, no, the game did make it clear that if you have a lot of points in something, it can be a problem. Whether that's like you have to like jump on it and struggle with it and be like, no, absolutely, I will not let this come to life. Or that you can't necessarily trust the information. So here, drama is straight up telling me that I could discount it. My Lauren brains traits are suggesting that I should keep this slight grain of salt, but largely discount this. It could be nothing more than just Cuno doesn't like the guy and wants me to kick his ass. I can swear, because it's Disco Elysium. A very high authority is insufferable. Yeah, probably, but I'm gonna wrestle with authority. There was one time I agreed with authority. It was most uncomfortable. All right. Have you seen anyone suspicious around?
Just a couple of pigs sniffing around in the dirt. That seems pretty fucking suspicious to Cuno.
I mean, that's really straightforwardly our job, but all right, child.
Yeah, you tell the faggoty, Cuno.
Does that mean what I think it means? They bleeped out. They'll bleep out actual slurs that are in English, but all right.
Looks like you're a faggoty now, whatever that means. The suspicious question doesn't really work in antagonistic situations.
Okay, what's hilarious here? I asked that question expecting that this is probably what was going to happen, but I was like, there's always a chance he might say something else. And Rhetoric is like, let me educate you on how to better conduct a conversation. Like, Rhetoric is challenging me. And my choice to click on every question. Rhetoric is like, don't. That's not going to go anywhere. You know that's not going to go anywhere. Well, they bleeped out that slur earlier. So, which I appreciate, that they don't leave in actual real-world slurs. But they will leave in their made-up world slurs so that it feels authentic, but they don't actually do harm. I talked about this already, though. All right, there are contusions all over his body. Why are you saying contusions, Ocelot? Do you think this child knows what a contusion is? I don't even know what the dictionary definition of a contusion is. Rhetoric. Yes, Rhetoric is like, you shouldn't be asking stupid questions. Only ask good ones. You should know better than to ask that. All right. Well, let us ask and see if he makes fun of me for using a word. Or if he knows that word. All right. Contusions all over his body. Did you do that? I mean, yes. He'll be like, well, whatever it is, yeah, I sure did. I'm throwing these rocks. Haha.
Fuck are you talking about? What is this contusion shit?
He grabs his head like it's suddenly hurting. Oh, that's not good. That's really interesting. If I'm about to get punished as a player for this, if this is going to shut down the conversation because I'm just going through asking all the questions instead of writing off the questions that Rhetoric is like, why are you asking these questions? It doesn't make sense. I'm still playing the game like I'm playing a game instead of like I'm actually trying to have conversations with people. I would never ask this child about contusions. That's not the phrasing I would use. But I'm curious. He's grabs his head like it's suddenly hurting, because before he was having some problems with it. I wonder if you ask too many questions that he's going to shut down if he just loses control and gets really mad at you.
He says you're stupid, Cuno. They want to make you stupid again.
say, a contusion is a bruise. I'm talking about the marks or stones left on the corpse. Or, yes, that's what I'm saying, you're stupid. Or, I hate words too. Or, let's back up, this isn't going anywhere. So they want to make you stupid again. Sounds like the school system probably failed him and probably thought that he was intentionally struggling with things and punished him for it, which is a thing that school systems have done for a while. I don't know how far back, but I know that it's been a thing where, like, you punish somebody if they can't, like, learn their spelling or their multiplication tables or whatever. And it used to be like, yeah, you know, sure, we'll you know, wrap them, like beat their knuckles with a ruler until they learn better. And I'm like, why? But it's because if you think of people not doing something as being an intentional decision to disobey, then it makes sense. This person is intentionally choosing to disobey me, and I need to teach them that they shouldn't disobey me. They should start obeying me. You cannot force somebody to be capable of doing a thing that they're not capable of. You cannot force someone to stop struggling with something that they struggle with. It's immensely frustrating. And there is something really important that, like, people who work with children need to understand, that kids are not just trying to, like, I'm not just trying to fuck with them a lot of the times. It's like people who get upset, like they'll be like, my baby is trying to manipulate me into giving it attention, so I'm just going to let it cry itself to sleep. Well, no, your baby needs attention. It's a baby. It is not a scheming, manipulative little brat. It is a baby. It is a baby. But this is not... You can say this is just biologically ignorant, but this is something that a lot of people have done for a long time that was at one point kind of like almost prevailing wisdom about what to do with babies. But like animals too. Why is this animal trying to get this from you? Why is this animal doing this? Don't immediately assume that they are intentionally trying to mess with you. But we have this tendency to respond that way, this kind of like gut reaction to assume that somebody's intentionally trying to harm us. And when kids are defiant and disrespectful like Cuno, like, yeah, wasps do not have it out for you. They're territorial. If you don't want to get stung by wasps, don't go into wasps' territory. They're not evil, malicious. I hate wasps, but rationally, I am aware that animals generally don't act out of malice. They have a reason for doing what they do, not just to be shitheads. I can swear so much on this stream. Well, I mean, you can choose to go to war with the wasp. That's fine. You can remove the wasp from the territory because you don't want yourself or the people around you to get harmed. That's a decision that you can make. But the wasp is not going to be like, hey, I'm going to get that human because it sounds like fun and I'm bored. That's a uniquely human problem, and not all humans do that. And children, especially very young ones, do not. And if they do, it's because they've been hurt really badly, and the best thing to do is to try to find some way to start unraveling that hurt and build something else in its place. No, but people do that. That's the thing, is that a lot of people do that. That's part of why people spank children. That's part of why spanking is something that people, even when study after study after study after study after study, universally says that there is no good that comes from spanking. Only bad comes from spanking. It does not accomplish what you want it to accomplish, and it harms children long term. It is not even remotely ambiguous. And yet, if you say this, you're going to have people come up to you and be like, yeah, well, I don't know, sometimes a kid's just got to get smacked, or I got spanked and I turned out fine, or any number of things like that, like, because they feel that hitting a kid is a good solution to a problem, regardless of evidence. absolutely conclusive evidence to the contrary. So it's a problem. It's a problem. People think that kids are intentionally being bad and need to be beaten out of their badness so that they will be better. It's not even survivorship bias. They're unable to see their own damage, that their own like empathy has been harmed by that, and their own trust has been harmed by that. In reconciling the fact that their parents beat them, they broke their own brains got broken. It's really not good. And I don't even know if it's necessarily about maintaining authority versus the kid's well-being. They genuinely they don't want to let go of this, partly because if they say, actually, spanking your child is beating a child, that means that they have to accept the fact that their parents beat them. And that throws a lot of their worldview into chaos. My parents were good parents. They would never have beaten children. Well, the thing is, a lot of people who do bad things are not 100% bad all the time. Rapists have friends and family that they treat well, too. Like, people are not binary good or binary evil. We are all made of conglomeration of the worst sorts of things and the best sorts of things in different proportions. We are not defined by one action or one attribute. Anyway, this is again a tangent. I just have really strong opinions on this. I mean, we can get into a conversation about which crimes are forgivable in some circumstances or not. But to me, that's a separate conversation altogether. I'm just saying that people have a hard time accepting my parents loved me and are generally good people, and my parents beat me when I was a child. It's hard to reconcile those. If you think that somebody committing one bad act is enough to make them all bad, then that means that if a person has done one bad thing, that makes them all bad, and therefore if these people are not all bad, it must mean that they didn't do the one thing. Which is also an argument that people use to say, no, my friend would never rape somebody because he's so nice to me. Only bad people do that, and he's nice to me. I've only ever seen him be nice to people. That's what I'm talking about. That's why I brought that up. That's how it's related. Not excusing crimes or ranking them in evil so much as people not being able to reconcile the fact that the people that they love can do something horrible and still be the people that they love. Like, we contain multitudes. May we not be people who contain the potential to rape somebody. That I would rather we not be that. But we all have the ability to do some things that we would be ashamed of or others would be ashamed of in our worst days, regardless of like how bad that gets. So yeah, sometimes your parents can love you and care about you and beat you because it was what was done in at the time. And you can love them and be grateful for the good they did for you, and also recognize that they did harm and that they did something wrong and that you shouldn't do that. That's another thing. Is that if parents have been spanking their children and then they learn this, that means they've been beating their children. It is really hard to live with yourself thinking that you've done something that you consider evil, because most parents would say, yes, beating children is terrible. Beating children is awful. People who would beat a child deserve to be sent straight to hell. Oh, that's unacceptable. And then suddenly you're telling them that they have actually been doing that thing that they think is evil. I can understand why people would have irrational reactions to that. Hi, Mockman. Welcome. Oh my gosh, Kitty. We're talking about abuse. It's Disco Elysium. What do you want from me? So I'm obviously not going to belittle Cuno or tell him that he's stupid. But I could explain what it is, and he's probably not going to take it well, and Rhetoric's probably going to get mad at me. I just, so like, if I were truly like trying to like play this game the best way and be like, I'm gonna try to like butter up everybody and get under like things with everybody and figure everybody out, I'd be like, oh, I need to bond with Cuno about being like, I hate words too, but I just used the word. That's not very convincing, Ocelot. It's not very convincing at all, my friend. I don't think that's gonna fly. And I don't know that I'm gonna be able to get through to Cuno. I don't know that my Ocelot is the right person to get through to Cuno. So if I fail at getting through to him, that feels like it would be an in-character thing. So I'm going to explain to him what it is. I'm going to say, he might get really mad because he might be like, oh, you're explaining it to me because you think I'm stupid. But I'm going to try this because this feels like the thing that would come out to do, the thing that makes the most sense to say in the situation. Not necessarily the thing that will have the best results, because I honestly do not know. I'm not an expert on people like Cuno, despite my long tangent about overwhelming emotions and mental health, etc., etc., etc. I don't have a lot of experience with this. And also, as has been pointed out many times, Ocelot is not actually me. But I also suspect that if I, Lauren, were to encounter Cuno, I would fail so hard trying to get this kid to open up to me. I would absolutely fall flat on my face. It's possible that Ocelot will be able to do a bit better. A lot of the other characters, I'm like, oh, I could get through to this character. Like, part of why the bookstore went so well, if you put Lauren in that situation, I would probably be able to do pretty well with the equivalent in my world. Cuno's a little out of my league as far as trying to get through to him. I don't have the kind of experience or personality to do or say what needs to be done or said to support kids like this, and I know that. But I'm going to pick the answer that I'm going to pick. A contusion is a bruise. I'm talking about the marks or stones left on the corpse.
Oh, did Cuno make your shit sniffing harder? Obstruction of shit sniffing? This is Cuno's kingdom. Cuno fucking rules here.
Okay, actually, so this wound up feeding his ego a little bit, and so he lets go of his head, suddenly feeling better. Okay. So he's constantly at the verge of having a total meltdown, and you have to be careful not to push him too hard, or he's just going to pop like a balloon, and I don't know if he's going to throw himself at me or what. We'll see. I work with children just fine, but there's categories of children I don't know. And Cuno, like I said, is beyond my area of experience.
You hear the lieutenant hum.
Interesting. What is Kim picking up on here?
He's thinking the kid has amassed quite the vocabulary of law enforcement terms, but he's not going to stick his nose into this.
Oh, right, because obstruction of justice or obstruction just in general, like that is a police term. I didn't think of that. Because he said a few words over the course of this conversation that I was like, well, I mean, Troubadour's not, but were there a couple of others that stood out? Because this game is so very intentionally written. I don't know. I mean, I think that this kid watches a lot of TV or listens to the radio, whatever we do for entertainment here, because he's referenced something science fictional. He's referenced something that is more commonly in fantasy. Maybe he likes, what's his name? Is his name Dick Mullen? Is that the guy whose hat I have? I think that's the right name. So I'm pretty sure that Cuno has a wide knowledge of entertainment. No, it's true. He could be really into books. It's possible. I have this, well, I don't know for sure exactly where he lives, but there is a bookstore very near where we are right now. And I have an immediate assumption that he's not going to be very good at reading or like reading, because a lot of times kids who do badly in school and are told that they're stupid tend to have some sort of a learning disability or something that makes reading harder, which then makes teachers treat them like they're stupid in other ways, in addition to struggling with reading. So that's an assumption that I've made. But it is entirely possible that Cuno actually reads a lot. But if I call him out on that, then he might get really defensive, because his girl pal up there might not like nerds. Also, me and my partner are wondering, where did you pick up so many police terms? He doesn't like... The thing is, Cuno doesn't like being challenged. Because he clearly doesn't have a very solid ground to stand on when it comes to his own sense of self-worth. So if it seems like somebody's taking that away from him, he gets very defensive. That's not uncommon with that kind of behavioral challenges. So if he perceives this as something undermining him or threatening him in some way, he's going to respond really badly. Also, it just feels really awkward and weird. And also, like, Kim, because Kim is curious about this, but he doesn't want to ask. Like, it feels really weird. It's definitely, like, it feels like a clown shoes sort of thing to say out of the blue. I'm like, why would you bug this kid about this, of all things? And also, why would you rope Kim into this? If Kim wanted to be part of this, he would have put himself into it. So I'm inclined to not ask. However, the game itself did... The game did tell me to do more clown shoes, but it also said that you can get away with more clown shoes because you're a figure of authority. But this is Cuno. And so... that's maybe not going to work so well. Because I'm not just thinking about whether he's going to respond well to this, and we'll learn more about him or not. I also don't want him to shut down. We have seen him come to the like being on the verge of shutting down, breaking down, something like that, and manage to get him down from that again. But I don't know that I'll always be able to do that, and I would like to be able to ask more of my questions. So I'm inclined to say that sounds like a dangerous choice. Furthermore, I feel like I'm interested in I feel like it seems to me like it's pretty clear that he knows what he knows because of entertainment media. I don't know why that would matter in the investigation that I'm doing to have that confirmed. If you want to talk about things that are happening or not happening in the game, please do so in Discord. Yes. That's what it's for. I can tell the chat wants me to pick one, and the contrary person in me wants to not do what everybody else wants me to do, because that's how I roll. Plus, I don't want to ask one anyway because it seems like a stupid question. It doesn't make any sense to me why I would ask that. It doesn't just wrap back around. Amazing Aether. Okay. Then again, Kim is curious and interested, and I am Kim's clown shoes. Alright, we can take one for the team. Hopefully don't make the kid explode. I guess we'll do it. Hopefully, the thing is, if I do this wrong, Kim will get mad at me, and the kid will get mad at me, and everyone will be mad, and it'll be bad. Alright, let's go for it.
Me and my partner are wondering, do you guys puff Peter?
The demonic hiss behind the fence gets louder. I assume this is a thing from within this game world.
Cuno erupts into laughter, pointing his finger at you, then Kim, then back at you.
Alright, well, he seems to be happy. Is he about to say something really horrifically offensive? Probably. Alright, buckle up, folks.
An unfortunate choice of words, the lieutenant from Precinct 57 thinks. He looks at the harbour walls looming overhead. He could use a cigarette right about now.
Oh, is it the choice of the word partner? Probably. All right. Well, that did not actually
You're
go.
testing Cuno's patience here.
That did not actually go anywhere or result in anything that I am happy about unlocking or anything. Kim is displeased, and Cuno is displeased, and his girl is displeased. So,
Get lost.
yeah. There we go. That one does get bleeped out. Yeah, it would have made more sense for him to say, I was wondering. Like, the thing is, like, the phrasing of it just felt really bad. All right, I should probably not pick the questions that I don't like. I always say that. Will I ever learn? Debatable. All right, about the crime scene. You kids often play in this yard?
Right, pig? This is where Cuno plays with his little wooden choo-choo. What do you want with it?
What's in the greenhouse over there?
Dunno. Kiptas gardener used to work there.
I don't know what that means.
Kipt is a pejorative term used to describe people of South Seminese or Areopagite descent. It used to be a common first name among the Areopagites of Ilmara. Not so much anymore.
Oh, okay. That's derogatory term. Ah, the gardener. He's a very charming child. Well, because that is actually a lot of times where some of these slurs will come from. Either making fun of the sound of another language or calling everybody by a common name or a bastardization of a common name from that culture. So it is a well developed slur. It does feel very realistic. The gardener used to work there. If I assume that gardener, let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna ask. Hold on, the gardener used to work there?
Yeah, that's what Cuno said. She couldn't handle the heat, so she took off. Cuno can take it. Shit's nothing to Cuno.
He fills his lungs with the rancid air. His eyes get a little watery. Oh, this is about the dead body. Okay. So she's not been there since the body. So this means I'm going to be able to go and ask her questions about this. I mean, the young woman by whirling in rags, that gardener?
Look, Cuno doesn't explain shit. Cuno just says shit.
He looks you in the eye and nods as if agreeing with himself.
Yeah, her.
Thanks, Rhetoric.
What was she doing in the greenhouse in March anyway? What kind of gardening is done in March?
Logic. It's a greenhouse. They have their own heat. Presumably, you can do a lot more gardening in March in a greenhouse than you could outside. However, I should ask her about that. I'm definitely going to ask about that. Accept the task.
Yes, it seems suspicious. You don't like things being like that. Suspicious.
It doesn't actually seem suspicious at all, but it seems like a topic of conversation I can explore, which is great and interesting. Mostly, she might have more of a concept of what's going on around here if I ask her about that. Ocelot, how do you know less about plants than I do? I do not know a lot about plants. All right. The ladder, ever climb it? Points to the ladder on the tree.
Look at that fucking shit! You're trying to get Cuno killed!
He screeches. So I'm going to say, so you would say that the ladder is unclimbable?
Fuck does Cuno know? Cuno's not a fucking acrobat.
That's fair.
The lieutenant takes a quick note in his notebook.
Interesting. I wonder what Kim's up to here.
It's a trap, Cuno! Don't climb it, Cuno!
Do not climb it, Cuno. I might have questions later. For now, let's talk about something else.
Yeah, whatever. Cuno doesn't give a shit.
I sure hope that I do not result in this child trying to climb a tree and getting really seriously hurt. I will feel very bad if that happens. And then I will spend money I don't have to try to help with his medical care. Let's see what the hell is going on with this kid. I don't think we're going to get this, folks. I don't think we're going to get this. I think we used up all of our good luck on dice rolls last time. But let's see what happens.
It's not Cuno. It's Cunoesse.
Huh. Interesting. Very interesting. How?
Cunoesse is by far the worst of the two. Cuno has no problem being near you, but the other hides behind the fence, afraid for her life, like she's done something very bad.
Don't know that I'm fully convinced by this empathy. I know that you are... There are a lot of points in empathy, and therefore I will listen to my gut and take this with a grain of salt.
All in all, Cuno respects madness. You cannot hope to outdo her on that front. You must win yourself a few minutes with him alone.
So if I go clown shoes, Cuno might like me, I think is what this is saying. But no, you cannot hope to outdo her on that front. I guess she does egg him on. And she does interrupt sometimes. I mean, she hides behind the fence afraid for her life. Like she's done something bad. These are two strange grown men. That seems like a very, very reasonable explanation for why a young girl would want to hide behind a fence and not approach them. Just saying. That seems a very easy assumption to make. Like, why would it have to be guilt that is causing her fear and not just fear causing her fear, you know? Simpler explanation. But Ocelot's empathy thinks there's more to it than that. So, okay. Act on it. Try and separate them. This is not going to go well. But I have no other options, so let's try this.
Fuck you whispering about?
He whispers back.
He's whispering too. He's going with it. But watch what happens.
Oh, that's neat, though. It actually animated him crouching over and the kid leaning in.
Fuck you,
Yeah. She's now insulting him, though, because before, like, the insults were all going to me, not to him. Usually when she says that sort of thing, she's just referencing me or me and Kim, not Cuno. But watch what happens.
She puts extra stress onto that word, expecting it will make you uncomfortable.
Huh. I mean, they do seem to have a fixation on these two and on messing with Ocelot by threatening his sexuality.
If Cuno wants to whisper, he's gonna fucking whisper, okay?
Ah, okay.
Let's whisper, pig.
Okay. So she's trying to get control of the situation. And Cuno responds to her attempt to claim authority the same way that he responds to any authority. By being contrary as hell.
This is it. You've got him. But be careful. You can still fuck this up. Don't make Cuno look bad in this.
I'm glad that empathy is giving me some guidance here. All right. Because, yeah, the pieces make a bit of sense. I don't know. I think I might have wound up, if I were, like, in this situation, for example, being blinded by my own personal experience and thoughts and stuff, that I would assume that the child who is avoiding strange men is doing so for a very easily explainable reason. But I can see where empathy is getting it from, that she's controlling the situation and calling the shots, and that she's the one who interrupts to be more abrasive than Cuno himself. So let's see. Don't want to make him look bad. So if I say she's trying to control you, we got to get you out of here, that will make him feel like I don't think he can take care of himself, and he will feel threatened by that. So I can say, what's up with her? She's scary. Or I can say, I'm glad she's out of our hair. She's fucked up. So I don't want to make Cuno look bad in this. All right. Yeah, well, I think about her interrupting a lot. And I can kind of see that, but... All right. All right, so I'm going to think through what am I going to choose here. So I don't want to make Cuno look bad. My inclination there is to be a little bit self-deprecating myself and to make my vulnerability show so that he can feel stronger and more powerful by comparison. If I overdo it, he'll just think that I'm useless. But he does, I think he wouldn't mind having the opportunity to feel a little bit better than somebody, because I imagine he doesn't get a lot of that, especially if he's being kind of pushed around by this girl. So, So I'm inclined, rather than insulting her, to say she's scary. So that I can be like, I'm scared of that little girl. And Cuno can be like, well, I'm not scared of nobody. Which would be feeding him an opportunity to feel superior, which I think is what he wants. So I'm going to go with this and see. It might be completely the wrong answer, but I'm going to go with that.
Crazy? You don't know the half of it. She's not crazy. She's insane. Dangerous. She's smoked a man. She's done people in. Probably even pigs.
Interesting. I'm just not going to look at chat, by the way, because I can tell that this is a really exciting moment, and I'm going to just try to deal with things my own way. So, just to give you guys the heads up about that. She smoked a man, which means killing, I think. She's done people in, probably even pigs. She's so little, it's hard to believe she's actually killed somebody. Like, I feel like Cuno is exaggerating, as is his wont. But the fact that he's actually, like, I guess because I, like, laid low under him, like, I'm like, oh, I'm scared of him, or scared of her, that lets him lower himself to be scared some, but still, like, less scared, because now he knows these things. He knows how scary she is. He's in charge of the situation here.
Stop talking to him! Cuno, I'm fucking warning you! You're gonna get us into shit!
Has she pulled him into some of whatever she's up to?
She understands what you're trying to do.
Okay.
Yo, see? Did Cuno not tell ya? Cuno told ya. Cuno talks to whoever he wants.
Yeah, and she's pulling way too much authority. And again, he has the thing that I have forgotten the name of again. But he is responding poorly. The more authority she tries to pull, the less control she gets over the situation. So she's also a kid. So I think that she's not going to fully understand that. So I think she's going to keep it up, and it's going to wind up backfiring if I play my cards right, which I may or may not.
Talk, pig. Cuno's got it under control.
Yeah, he likes feeling like he's in control of the situation, because so much of his life he doesn't. And by me getting on this level and talking to her like this, or talking to him like this, like, there's leaning over being like, hello, children, which is very insulting, but there's like, hey, kid, I gotta talk to you one-on-one, man to man. It's like, oh yeah, I'm a grown up. I'm worth talking to. Like, I'm worth this guy coming here and asking me. He wants to ask what's going on because I know things. I'm special. I'm important. I matter. And that's something that Cuno desperately needs. Presumably is not actually capable of manufacturing that feeling of self-worth himself, which is why it's so easy to knock him off of it, and anything that seems like it's going to take that away from him. So she puts him down to keep him down sometimes with the things that she says in a way that makes it seem as though somebody else is doing things. She'll be like, he's threatening you. He's doing the thing that you don't want to have happen. But in a way, she's kind of indirectly, like when she's like, they're trying to make you stupid again. She's hurting him, but foisting the blame off on someone else, essentially. All right. So here Cuno's like, yeah, I got this. This is interesting.
You did it. They're separated. He's even turned his back to her, so she can't read his lips.
Okay, we'll see how this actually goes. What do you mean she smoked someone?
Cuno means she killed someone. That's right. She's a killer. Like, actually a killer.
He stares at you intently. This actually, he feels different here. This feels like it's not blustering. This feels more like he is more likely to be truthful. I still am somewhat skeptical because of my own personal inherent biases that children do not generally kill. But we'll see kind of what happens as we go from here.
He's meant everything he said before, but right now, he not only means it, he is sincere.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the feel that I'm getting from it, but I am resisting accepting it as the truth, but I'm also able to recognize my own bias getting in the way here. So that's why I'm like kind of like holding the thought and my own concerns. So really, isn't she too small to overpower someone? You serious about this killing business? Because this sounds like I'm like challenging him, and he's being sincere. He's actually being sincere right now. So, and what if she has? That also seems a little bit like not trustful. This right here, you serious about this killing business? It sounds like it's like, I'm taking what you're giving me. Like, wow, seriously? To me, that feels more accepting of what he's offering, which I think will encourage him to continue offering.
Killing is serious shit. Cuno's always serious about the 488.
I don't know what that means. All right, Brain, please explain.
488. The criminal code doesn't go higher than 190.
Thank you, Encyclopedia, even if the answer is that you don't know.
She's probably killed a pig too. I mean, I'm pretty sure she has.
So you're going to say, come on, she hasn't killed police officers. But again, like, I think I need to not challenge Cuno. Okay, how many cops has she killed then? I mean, he says he's pretty sure. He's not sure. This he's not entirely sure on. I don't want to challenge him. I'm not going to take what he says as absolute incontestable fact. But I think that I'm going to have to keep kind of rolling with him. We'll see what happens. Okay, how many cops has she killed then?
Forget Cuno said that. Cuno was just shitting. Cuno was just running his mouth. Cuno's stupid like that.
He feels eyes on the back of his head and stops.
A cop would be too large for her to overpower, but a determined child of her size can still kill the vulnerable, the elderly, the homeless, or other children.
So he's actually genuinely scared of her.
The creature peers at you both from over the fence. There is something searching in her eyes.
I think I've got only a limited amount of time. The creature. Isn't that interesting how dehumanized she gets? I want to know all of these things, but I don't think I'm going to be able to. Cuno, do you think it's possible that she's killed other children?
Cuno falls silent. He does not look at you when he replies.
Cuno, that's it. That's what Cuno is starting to think, yeah.
Jesus Christ. Okay. You think she has anything to do with the dead man?
Yeah, she would have liked to fuck him up, but she didn't. Cuno wasn't around, and C was with Cuno.
Okay, yeah. C. It's interesting that he calls her C. Where were you?
Look, Cuno's gonna put you at ease. We didn't do it.
Yeah. He's actually talking to me really levelly.
He speaks the truth, my liege.
Yeah. No, I do believe, like, this kid has... Now that he doesn't need to bluster, and I'm not challenging his sense of self, basically. I'm not challenging him on his precarious balance, trying to stay upright. He has nothing to prove, and so he's actually being able to be direct and honest, which is really interesting. It is very interesting because he's such an off-putting kid when he's being his brash, blustery, horrifyingly offensive self. But is she the one who always is she the one who's always been saying, like, shouting the swears and the slurs and the things and egging him on? Interesting. And yet, because he's the one that you talk the most to, your impression of this, like, the conversation is of him with her just egging him on in the background, like a little sister who's secondary. So you don't notice that she's egging him on in a way that is making the situation worse and controlling the situation and controlling how he reacts to things by provoking him until it comes around. But fortunately for me, I suppose, Ocelot's brain pieces were able to pick that up in a way that I was not. And it is really interesting because the way that they've set this up makes it so that you and Cuno wind up kind of like you're in an alliance right now. This kid who I was very concerned about not being able to have any chance whatsoever of getting through to, we're actually having a very, very risky heart-to-heart. Like, this boy is he's putting himself in danger by doing this. It does make me like him and sympathize with and feel bad for him and hope that he's going to be all right. More than just the abstract, that is clearly a troubled child. I hope something somehow happens to make him more okay. That's kind of like the default interaction with a kid who's clearly this troubled. It's humanized him a lot, which is good. Again, like when kids behave badly and do really horrifying things, a lot of times, like they're young, their brains aren't fully formed, and they are so clearly shaped by their environments that when kids are abusers, for example, my instinct and policy is we need to get in there and see what we can do to kind of undo the damage. It's like Pokey in Earthbound. It was kind of, I was like, this kid is doing great harm, but he's a kid, you know. You don't expect kids to know better. They're, you know, maybe mirroring what the adults around them have been doing. I don't know. So that's something that I would normally think or feel to some degree about Cuno, this troubled kid. But the way that they've humanized him and humanized like his interactions with Ocelot here, it's really nice. It does a good job kind of flipping around the way that you feel like you dread talking to this kid. At least I dreaded talking to this kid. And everybody likes this kid. I've noticed I got a lot of comments about like, hey, Cuno. And I'm like, I mean, okay, so he's a kid, so I don't want to hold him fully accountable for like being a little shit. But also, yikes. But now that I see the depth of the character, I understand why people like him so much. There's a lot going on here, and I don't know if there's going to be more with his plot, if there's something we can do to kind of help him with the situation that he's in with this girl. I don't know. I'm really interested if this is, because I was like, you know, maybe this is going to be like a one-off conversation. But I'm wondering, since we're going to potentially stick around this area for a while, are we going to have the chance to really develop relationships with these characters and get really invested in their story? Is this like the one-off of the boss fight of talking to Cuno? Or are we going to be able to do more story with him? I don't know. We'll find out. I'm not looking at chat still, but please still try not to spoil in case I'm time-stamping and see it. Spoiler chat is for that sort of thing. So I'm going to go back to asking questions here, but this is really nicely done. And Kim stands at a distance, of course, letting me do my thing. It's interesting, Ocelot, at least the way that I'm playing him, I don't know if this is different with the way that other people play, but like it feels like he's really actually pretty good at getting people to lower their guard. And this is my favorite kind of character to roleplay. That is the one thing that all the characters that I roleplay have in common. They can be very wildly different in how they do it and the kind of people they connect to and the approach they take, but I cannot help but play a meddler. All right, let's keep going. And there's a gentleness to Ocelot coming through here. For all that he's also a clown shoes weirdo, this comes from something in him, you know? To bend over and talk to this child gently. And while there's a certain degree of manipulation in the choices that I'm making and the fact that we're doing this at all, it does feel like there's some genuine empathy for him as well. For the child. From Ocelot. I realize that him is an ambiguous pronoun, and I should clarify what I mean. All right, back to questions. You said she's ... insane?
Yeah, she's psycho. None of that kiddie psycho. Cat burning shit. She does the real deal.
That's not an image I needed in my head. That's like what normal kids torture animals. She's one step further. Makes me think of Ender's brother in Ender's Game. That's an interesting book. Can have big problems with. Now there's somebody who needed some love and support in his childhood so that he would maybe not hate himself and then wind up causing a lot of harm to other people. Why, I'm talking about Orson Scott Card, of course. All right, so I can say whoa, or what's the real deal, or leave it at that. She seems like she gets suspicious if I ask him to explain too much. So I'm going to say, I want to be like, whoa. 'Cause I want to know what the real deal is, but I don't want her to shut this conversation down. And she's like peering over the fence really nervously, like what's going on. I don't want to get him killed. see. I suspect they'll give me 3 strikes, so this will let me know if there are strikes. What's the real deal?
Snuff radio shit. Believe me, pig, you don't want to know.
Okay, so we have radio instead of television. World building. Also, I didn't know what snuff films were until I was in college, and some of my friends were like talking about like, oh, you know, like everybody has encountered them randomly on the internet, and I was like, no. I think that says something about the corners of the internet that you visit. It's not something that everybody just stumbles over. So, I have not, and I will not. I knew some weird people, I guess. All right. So that's concerning. That's very concerning. So he's basically like, she kills people for entertainment.
And he doesn't even want to think about it. This isn't just another boast.
Yeah, he's a brat. He's a like really, like he's an unpleasant kid to interact with. But in his heart of heart, he's not a bad person. He finds what she does awful. What's that language she uses? These insults.
Fuck knows. She says it's the song of her people or some shit.
Huh. What people?
Crazy people. The fucking Nakis. I don't know.
I don't know what that is. But it sounds like it's in the same language as these other words. So she's saying these words that says it's the language of her people, but he doesn't know what her people are.
Sounds boreal, like something from the tundra and tiger-covered Cutler, Isola. Far, far away from here. As far as possible, really.
So, like, snow covered. Okay. Do they have red-haired people there? Come on, encyclopedia.
You mean evil little red-haired people like her? Yes, they do. The Suruese have that ginger gene.
I mean, presumably they're not all evil, no. Please, let's not be racist, encyclopedia. I'm not actually sure if that's what encyclopedia is saying. I know that there was a lot of bias against red-haired people in England, as I understand it, for quite a long time, and even still, there's some degree of bias against them, which it's funny, kind of, because being a redhead in the U.S. is very like, yes, that's like super sexy and cool and red. So you have like your sexy redhead. Your cool, sexy, hot-tempered redhead, maybe. There are some generalizations that come with it. But it's not considered a bad thing. I don't know. There probably are some other biases there that I haven't had to deal with because I'm not redheaded. But I'm curious. But I will ask, could she be Suruese? I don't think Cuno would know, but he might like the fact that I'm asking, or he might feel threatened that I'm asking a thing he doesn't know.
Suruese? Like that man from Helmdall shit? She could be. She could be that Helmdall shit.
He does. This is a little, I need to buy this boy a book. He must spend his free time in there, maybe. Like, I don't know. Oh my God. He is a reader. He is totally a reader. Way to call me on my assumptions. To be fair, my assumptions are not like people who speak harshly can't read. It's that he seems like the sort of person who have an authority with education. And a lot of times that arises from teachers treating students badly. And a lot of times that's rooted in students having a learning disability, frequently in the form of reading. Because if you're bad at math, like being bad at math is like, that's like a thing. And teachers might yell at you for like maybe slacking off. But if you're bad at math, people don't immediately assume you're stupid. If you're bad at reading and writing, people will assume you're stupid. Now, that was not a problem that I ever had. I've always been above average at reading and writing. Like, that's my comfort zone right there. But I've known people who are not good at those things but they're perfectly intelligent, capable, competent people. Like, I know I have a friend who's an engineer who is not great at reading, but that doesn't matter. Are you gonna tell me an engineer's not intelligent? There's a lot of different ways to be smart, and there's a lot of value that people can have regardless of their like academic capacity to succeed. But so that's why I made that assumption. Whether that is right or not, it could also be that kids who have trouble, like troubled kids in stories, are more often than not kids who struggle to read. So I feel like maybe I was expecting him to be a bit of cliche, and he's not a cliche. This game doesn't do cliches. If it does cliches, it blows them up. It exaggerates them. So, that said, can I take a point? Can I give myself a point? I did not pursue the questions fully, but still, I, Lauren, with my own rhetoric skill, read between the lines of the things the kid was saying and said, this seems like a kid who absorbs a lot of stories. It seems like one of his defining attributes is that he knows a lot of stories. Fantasy, science fiction, and police procedural. Can I give myself credit for that? Can we give me credit for that? I'm gonna take that credit. Not that it really matters, but it feels cool sometimes to deduce these things. And the game gives you the pieces to piece it together. And you could see me piecing it together. And they're so good and so intentional. And once again, the way that they do it a lot of times is the word choice. And then they called attention to the word choice later. Like the Night City thing, they're like, well, that sounds like something from science fiction, but they aren't like the word. And I'm like, okay, so you kind of like can let that one slide. But when he says troubadour, and I'm like, what? Why do you know the word troubadour? I had my boss, I love her very much, bless her heart, was an older lady in her 60s, 70s, at my job in Austin. I wrote the word teleport in something that I'd written, and she was like, what does this word mean? And will the kids that come to our university know this word? And I was like, everybody knows the word teleport. So I think I took for granted that actually, no, not everybody knows the word teleport. Apparently that's more likely to be known by nerds than standard folks. Lesson learned. But I do think that they were very clear, and again, it's his word choice. It's the way he speaks in very specific situations in a way that comes together. It's just like the fact that the scab leader is clearly military from the way that he phrases things. I love that one of the things you can do with this game is figure out when somebody is saying something or speaking in a manner that doesn't fit what you expect. Like that's the hint, you know? That's the puzzle to solve. Those are the pieces you're supposed to like sift through the dialogue and notice those things. And I'm really excited that this game rewards that, and that I'm not wrong when I read into things all the time. Sometimes I'll miss the mark. Sometimes I won't pick up on something. But it's really cool that they plant these little hints, and then you can figure them out and feel very cool. Anyway, that's a tangent. And he's really excited that she could be Conan. I think we decided that this is Conan.
Revelshot does have a small Suarese community, or she climbed into a yakberry crate and was shipped over accidentally.
Okay, Encyclopedia, that feels like that might be a little bit racist right there. Okay, is she your sister? I mean, the answer is probably going to be no based on this, but let's ask. Is she your sister?
Fuck no, she's not my sister. She's just a stray who got in, like a mad dog or some shit.
That's interesting. And yeah, he does not want that association. My goodness.
Yeah, she was just there.
Okay, I said I chose to ask stray, which is the only option you have. He points at the apartment building behind the fence. She just showed up at the apartment building. So he lives there, I guess. One of those must be his apartments.
What was that, Cuno?
The little one twists her neck looking at the building.
She was in the hallway, dripping wet, by the fucking shoe rack in the dark.
Cuno flinches, then lowers his voice even more. The hallway dripping wet. Did she jump from a boat and swim ashore? Is she like some sort of really, really traumatized and damaged refugee of some sort, I wonder? I'm afraid if I point, she's going to respond badly to that. Why was she dripping wet?
Cuno's got no fucking idea. Her hair was all wet. I think she pissed on the floor too. She was there for 3 days, in the corner, every time Cuno went out.
You said she got in. How?
I don't know. Someone left the door open. Cuno comes home and she's sleeping under the desk, under a pile of clothes, like a dog.
What about your parents?
Cuno's dad doesn't give a shit. Doesn't even see her there. Or thinks it's fucking Cuno. Shit's all on Cuno.
He points at himself. Okay, so here we have confirmation that things are not right at home. His dad does not care. Thinks she's Cuno. Blames anything she does on Cuno. That's interesting. Like, to me, if she's wet all over, it sounds like she swam here because there's water right next door.
Cunoesse, two of a kind.
Why is she called Cunoesse then?
Cause she fucking looks like Cuno.
You don't know her name? I mean, yeah, I guess they're both redheads, but I mean, so you don't know her name?
No one knows her name. Cuno told you this shit was psycho killer.
So if Cuno is to be believed in the situation, and he does seem to be telling the truth, at least to the best of his knowledge, we know that Cuno is a kid with a very well-fed imagination. So I suspect that there's some truth here and some conjecture that may be based on some of the media that he has, consumed in the past. But we know that I totally believe him that she showed up soaking wet, sleeping in that, the laundry room, I assume. I think there's a desk in there and there's clothing. I think we can go into that hallway. We can figure out where she was. That she must have snuck in soaking wet, having been in the water for some reason. He thinks that she's killed other children. Possibly other people. Like, that are adults that were weak enough to fight back. Or weak enough to not fight back. I don't know. There's pieces of this that I don't quite know, but yeah, so she shows up. She hangs out in the hallway. And she started following Cuno around, I assume. And what's he gonna do? I don't know. I'm curious. I'm really curious. Like, I'm really, like, I'm very interested in... Because Cuno thinks that she's really scary and that she's a killer. I don't know for sure that she is, but he definitely thinks she is. I think that he is telling me the truth as he believes it to be the truth. Like I said, I think that some of it is probably correct and some of it is probably colored by his imagination. It might make sense if she is, for example, some sort of a refugee or something like that. I don't know if refugees come here, if that's a thing that can happen, that she then swam ashore and found the first building that she could get into, freezing cold, soaked through, and found shelter there. And if she's not actually killing people, but she's really unhinged because she's been through a lot of trauma, it's possible that somebody pushed her into the water. Like, it's clear that she must have wound up in the water, like the big water that surrounds this island. We are on an island. She was soaking wet. But I don't quite know enough to know exactly, like, how was she in the water? What happened? My brain is still gravitating towards the possibility of her. I mean, you can see how hesitant I am to accept that she's actually murdered people. You can see how hesitant I am to say that she's an evil little girl who's just a demented killer, and how much more likely I am to assume that she's a traumatized child with behavioral issues based on her trauma, who maybe acts very scary and doesn't have kindness or compassion that comes out to such a degree that one might think that she is capable of doing really horrible things. And maybe she is, I don't know. But that something must have pushed her to that point rather than just that she's just naturally evil. So we can investigate this, I think, a bit more. There's apparently a community of people from the part of the world that we think she might be from. So I suspect I'm going to investigate that. So I'm very curious. This has brought up a lot more questions than it's answered, but it's very interesting. How are you dealing with all of this? This is the final question. Conclude.
How's Cuno dealing? Cuno's dealing just fine. He doesn't need you fucking with any of it. C doesn't either.
That's interesting because he's still kind of defensive of her here. Because he's like, I'm fine. Don't mess with my life. And don't mess with her life. And it could be where he's kind of like, don't mess with her because she'll take it out on me. But it could also be like, don't mess with either one of us. I don't trust the cops. So.
Cuno's got this shit under control.
He spits through the gap in his front teeth. Oh. So I can say, she needs professional help. You can't do this alone. Or, you need backup. I'm here for you. Or, okay, kid. So, I'm going to overanalyze every single one of these responses. I hope you're ready for that. All right. So I'm afraid if I say, she needs professional help, you can't do this alone, he's going to get really defensive about this. Like, I can take care of anything, whatever, that's fine. And because he has no trust of anybody older or professional. Why would he trust professional help? Like, what are they going to do? Lock her up? Send her to the prison? Do something like that? Like, kill her? Put her in the electric chair? This is the sort of thing. Like, Cuno has no reason to trust or believe in professional help. And that you can't do this alone. Like, do what? What do you think I'm doing, huh? You think I'm trying to fix her? No, I'm just trying to get by. I'm just living my life. You need backup? I'm here for you. So backup is what cops do for each other. It's camaraderie, and it's something that Cuno would be capable of hearing as camaraderie because he's read cop books. Presumably, Dick Mullen has been backup, or has been saved by having had like a backup showed up at the last minute or something like that. You know, so I feel like that's something that would make sense to Cuno, that Cuno would receive in the way that I think Ocelot would intend it here, which is like, I'm a cop, you're my buddy. I'm going to be your backup. I'm here for you. Plus, we've just had this heart-to-heart conversation. So I'm not professional help. I'm not the grown-ups. I'm not the mysterious, ambiguous, like, form of untrustworthy, unknown, probably out to get you adults. I am this known individual who has had this conversation with you in which I take you seriously. I value what you have to say. I believe you. And I'm going to be your backup. And then, okay, kid, which reinforces that he's a kid, which I don't think he'd take very well. And I'm going to pick number 2. This may be the wrong answer. This may be overwhelmingly the wrong answer. But that's my reason why I'm going to do it. Because I'm here, and if you need to call on me, I'm your backup. You get to choose when you call your backup, you know? I like it. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to pick number 2. You need backup. I'm here for you.
Listen. C is Cuno's go-to. Cuno's protecting her. You fuck with C. You Cuno. You threaten her. You threaten to take her away.
I'm not saying I'm going to take her away. He points to his eyes, then yours. So, despite her being terrifying, she's presumably like the only person in his life that he can count on to think that he's important. And that is really important to him. So as terrified as he is of her, as clearly like codependent and abusive as their relationship seems to be, she's still really important to him. She still matters. So I'm not talking about taking her away. I'm talking about supporting you if you need it. That's all.
This is what it all comes down to. He needs you to take him seriously now.
Okay.
Aye, I'm going to kill you. I'll run when you put the cuffs on her, sneak up on you later, and fuck you up. You understand?
The boy looks you in the eye, black pupils trying to focus. So I can say either understood, Cuno, or I can respect that. And then the next one is just underdoing that. Okay. Understood, Cuno. Like, both 1 and 2 feel like they should have similar results. I'm trying to figure out what the difference is in the phrasing here. Because both one and 2 do seem to be taking him seriously. Which is what he needs and what empathy is telling me to do. To me, I can respect that. Sounds more like a man-to-man answer, whereas understood, Cuno almost feels like a hair more patronizing. Do you understand? I understand. I feel like I can respect that. Is more... Like, I can respect that sounds more like... I can respect that seems more serious. Then again, 1 is answering him the way that he asked. He says, you understand? And I say, I understand. Because also I can respect that kind of means like, okay, I accept that if I fuck with her, you're going to beat me up. I can respect that you would do that. But understood is kind of like, are you picking down what I'm putting up? Or picking up what I'm putting down. Words failed me. And I think that's maybe a more general statement. Now that I think about it, maybe a more general statement of, I'm not going to do it because I get where you're coming from. I think we're going to go with 1. Understood, Cuno.
All right. Now we can do business.
He wipes the sweat off his brow. Business?
Yeah? What do you want? Cuno can hook you up with...
He starts, no longer whispering.
Don't hook him up with shit, Cuno.
That's his cover story. That's his cover story. Clever kid. Very clever. Because I'm obviously, Ocelot is clearly... the kids know perfectly well that Ocelot is an addict. So if Cuno says to her, she's like, what the fuck was that all about? And he's like, man, that guy wanted me to help him score some shit. Oh, that's totally plausible. That's a very solid alibi. Good job, kid. Good job.
See? Relax. He respects the Cuno. Cuno made him respect the Cuno. You respect the Cuno, you get all kinds of shit.
He turns back to you. Yeah. So now it looks like we're going to have a business relationship from the kid's perspective. And that saves Cuno, because I was a little nervous about that. But yeah, like, C isn't going to get mad at, oh, he's trying to like a drug deal thing going on. Okay, that's fine. That's within the realm of allowed here.
Cuno's gonna get you hooked on illegal narcotics if you run a little errand for the Cuno. Get you hooked, pig. Get his hook in you. Then Cuno gonna get you hooking for more. Cash in big style. Pig hooker.
Okay. I gotta give him credit. That is some good wordplay. That is some good wordplay. And it goes to show that wordplay doesn't have to be highbrow. See, gonna get you hooked. You're gonna get addicted to this. He's gonna get his hook into you, another use of it, and then he's gonna get you hooking for more. And pig hooker, all of that is then talking about basically he's going to get you into drugs and then you're going to become his prostitute and he's going to be your pimp. Those are 3 different uses of the word hook. It's very clever. It's very clever. You're really good at words. If I'd picked the I don't like words thing, I don't actually think that would have connected with Cuno, because he actually likes words a lot, I think.
And shit, you can even fuck back in Cuno's kingdom. That fucking pile of eternite. It's a secret door, okay? Just pull it up and you can fuck into Cuno's shack.
He concludes the invitation with a benevolent nod. So we're friends. We're friends. And this is actually, because his talking about the drugs, this is him blustering his alibi. So underneath the bluster of his alibi is him saying, thank you. I appreciate that you respect me. I will show you respect in the only way that I know how. That's really cool. Sometimes you got to put a filter on things to understand what someone's actually trying to communicate based on what you know about them. It's very helpful. Because there's some people out there who are not really in touch with things. And they will say and do all sorts of awful things that they think are out of love. And you can be like, okay, this is coming from a place of love. And I can understand that. And I will respond to that while also holding the distance I need to keep myself emotionally safe. All right. Do I have more questions about the crime scene? I thought I already asked about the crime scene. Excuse me.
Yeah, the kingdom of Cuno. The fuck do you want with it?
No, it's fine. Okay. Might have questions later.
Yeah, whatever. Cuno doesn't give a shit.
All right. I'm going to not ask him about the errands and the illegal narcotics, because I do not need to lose willpower rolls to narcotics right now. I'm trying to stay on the straight and narrow for Kim. Kim would be so disappointed. Also, I want to help because maybe because of the way I'm playing him, maybe because of something essential about his character, I feel like Ocelot has a warm heart in there and I want to take care of him. So I'm going to try to pull the reins in such a way that he winds up better off than he was when I found him, you know? Oh man, amazing. Okay, I'm going to say I'm off. Leave.
Cuno doesn't fucking care.
That's fine, Cuno. All right. Well, that took the better part of our stream today. We got about half an hour to go. We could cut down the body. Yeah, no, that was really interesting. That felt like an unexpected boss fight once I got that one lucky roll. I'm not gonna punch Cuno. No, I'm not gonna punch Cuno. Besides, didn't we just discuss that beating children does not actually do anything but harm? It only causes harm. Shall we? Okay, so this must be what he was talking about, where his drugs are. Okay. I don't think talking to her is a good idea. Shall we go ahead and cut the body down then? It's interesting, you see the green thing there, like, gets interrupted. I don't know what that is all about. Some weird graphical thing. The children aren't evil gremlins. They're children. Even C, I think her situation's probably more complicated than that, and I do think that she needs professional help of some sort. I mean, she clearly needs some kind of help. I am more interested in restorative justice than punitive justice anyway. Do we cut the body down? Do we cut the body down? What do you mean, why do I say? Well, because they're human beings, and human beings are generally not monsters. And she is a homeless child who's clearly got lots of issues. People don't just pop out being hateful and vicious and nasty. They're made that way by circumstances. It is clear as day that both of these children are troubled children. But Cuno told us all about, or at least enough about what she's up to, or at least what he suspects she's up to and where she came from, to kind of give a little shape to her story and her situation. Like, we can assume like I just assumed in advance that both of these children were troubled children that could use some sort of help. We have a better sense for exactly how bad things are for her potentially now, because like I said, I don't know why she wound up in the water. And there's a lot of things I can think of that could have happened in her past. Like, I just assumed that she was dripping wet because she'd been in the water, not just rain, you know, because the apartments are literally next to the shore. There's a birdhouse in that tree. So once upon a time, somebody was able to get up there, but it's no longer safe. She could be a fish person from Atlantis. No, that's true. If it had been visibly something that wasn't water, Cuno would have mentioned it. If she came in dripping wet with blood, I think he would have noticed. So. See, the thing is, blood has a very different consistency, and it congeals and gets sticky, and it smells. None of that is true of water. And given that Cuno was talking about how scary she is, I'm pretty sure that if she showed up soaking wet with blood, he would have commented on specifically that it was blood. So. I feel like if it was something else. I mean, it could have been, because he did say that she must have peed in the corner. So it is possible that that it was urine. Okay. What is, let me cut you off right here, right now, and ask what kind of conversation you are trying to have right now. Because if what you're trying to do is tell me what's happening or give me information that I don't have, I'm going to ask you to stop, because that's not how I play this game and not what I want out of streaming it. Right now, I don't know what her backstory is. I don't know if I'm going to uncover her backstory or not. Please don't ask leading questions or make leading suggestions. That also counts. Like basically trying to drop breadcrumbs for me to piece together. Let the game do that. If the game doesn't give me the breadcrumbs, I don't get the breadcrumbs. If I fail to put together the breadcrumbs that the game gives me, that's fine. That's on me. I don't want hints. I don't want suggestions. I don't want reminders unless I specifically ask for them. Yeah, no, I know you're joking about Atlantis, and that could be fun to have a little. So that's our inland empire right there, imagining wild, crazy things. So no worries, no worries. But I will say at this point, I don't know. I think I'm going to be able to do some investigation about her backstory. Please don't confirm or deny that, if you don't mind. But at this point in the game, at least, it's a really interesting mystery. And I want to know more. I really want to figure her out. I want to know what happens there. And it may be that I never do. And it may be that this is actually the end of my conversation with Cuno. This is the end of his story. We've gotten all we're going to get out of him unless we decide to do the drug thing. That may be the further story that we investigate, or that we can get into. I'm interested in sticking my nose into his business and seeing what I can do about helping him get to an actually better situation. I think that might be outside the scope. Like, it's one thing to be like, hello, well-intentioned, relatively normal mother, you are mistreating your daughter and you should change the way you're handling this particular situation. That's manageable. But like, Kuno's father doesn't realize that this girl sleeping on the ground is not actually his son. There's something worse going on there, and it's probably outside the scope of what I can do anything about in this game. But I still kind of hope I can. In a more grimdarky game, I would just be like, part of the point is just that sometimes things suck for people and you can't do anything about it, and that's just how it is, even for poor children. Because this isn't actually a grimdark game, it is possible that they may give hope for Cuno to have a better future. So, I would hope so. And it's okay. No, I appreciate that. I appreciate you folks trying to be cautious. I know that I'm a little more particular about this than most people are. I'm gonna be arrogant and cocky for a moment and say one of the reasons why I'm more particular about things is because I can't speak for other people. So maybe they can do this too and they just don't mind. But for me, I'm pretty good at puzzling through things. And if people start giving me a couple of breadcrumbs, or even suggest the possibility of a breadcrumb maybe existing in an area, my brain will glom onto that and I will start piecing things together. So I'm like, I will be able to make something of that, and I don't want to make something of that yet. We'll discover it later. I don't think that beating up Cuno's dad, if this were a simplistic game, beating up Cuno's dad would be the answer. Because we beat up the bad guy, and then either he does better from now on, or the kid is like, yeah, and then we like take him to a better place. Then like he gets adopted by somebody else. But this is not that kind of a simplistic game, so it's not going to be like we beat up the dad and he's like, oh shoot, my mistake, I'm gonna stop treating my son like dirt, you know. So I don't know, I'm curious. This is way more interest and investment in Cuno than I thought I was going to get. I think we can safely say that the title of this stream is going to be Cuno. Shall we cut the body down? Because it feels like that's the end of a chapter of sorts. Just thank you, Ocelot. You're the dad now. I don't think that Ocelot should be a dad at this point. I don't know that Cuno would be worse off. No, it's okay, Aether. No, I appreciate that. So the question is, would Ocelot be a worse dad than Cuno's dad? And I don't know. Yeah, simple solutions to complex problems would be such a departure from what they've done so far, you know? It'd be really interesting. So is this... Wait, what is that? Oh, I can't get there. That's on the roof. I want to get that jacket. That's what I want. And I guess if I go in there, I can then climb up through there. But there's a light on inside, which means probably if I, like, remove this wall, it's probably going to be a bad idea. We could check our quests and notes. No, that's true. Let's see. Where is the rest of the armor? Go to the Harmer Gates, ask the Jolly Musk about the armor. Spelled with a U, of course. Ask Gardner about gardening in March. Oh, right. The young woman with the wheelbarrow at the corner of the Whirling and Rags told you that she had to take a break from gardening because of the cadaver smell. But what if she was lying? After all, what kind of gardening is done in March? That, I think this is just Ocelot's ignorance. But if Ocelot is ignorant about this, we might as well go ask. If it really is that simple, she'll straight up correct me. I don't know if we've got time to have another conversation, though. Because I'm afraid if I cut down the body, that'll count as like the end of the day, you know? Okay, so it is now late enough that we could go knock on that door upstairs too. Because if I cut down the body, then Kim will go home. Potentially, maybe. Because he actually has a home to go to. He's probably not going to bring me there. That would be really interesting, though, because I've spent so long wandering around this. Like, it feels like this is like the... Like, my brain is telling me this is the entirety of the landscape that the game is going to take place in. But I'm wondering whether we're actually going to go to these other regions of the city, and I don't know. I know, I think it's safe to say that simplistic solutions to complex problems is not really what they do here. Huh. This is glowing like there's something happening inside there, too. Isn't that where she's got the curse warder offer? This fellow. Man, I love this music. So I'm indecisive about what to do next. I feel like cutting down the body is going to close out this day. I feel like that's going to be the end of the day, and then Kim is going to be like, I'm going home, and then I'm going to be like, oh shoot, what do I do now? Do I go sleep in my terrible little apartment? No, the day is late. Yes. And my stream is late, in fact. So we could talk to this lady right here because she's right here. And I'm like, do we want to see how much of this we can do on one day? Because Kim did say we should come back tomorrow night to talk to the other guy. Instead of tonight. He did specifically say tomorrow night, not tonight. So probably that's something I should do tomorrow night. I know days are followed by other days, but like... I played Majora's Mask. And in Majora's Mask, there were things you could only do on one day, and then the next day is different. We are not currently thinking about anything. I don't think we've got points. I think. Oh, wait, no, we are thinking about something. We are thinking about... Derealization. The fact that he does not feel like he lives in this world. We'll get some experience. Maybe we'll be able to open up another thought cabinet slot. My pain threshold is currently up. The thought says it's important, yes. 52%. Okay, so like an hour and a half. Do I have enough time to start something new? Okay, I'm trying to think. We got about 20 minutes. Well, if the first day's intent is to make you feel overwhelmed, then I have clearly stretched the game over too long a period of time because I no longer feel overwhelmed at all. I now feel like, okay, there's just enough stuff. I don't know if I have enough time to do all the things I want to do. I felt very overwhelmed early on, but now I feel like I've gotten a bit of a sense for how things work, what I'm supposed to be doing, how the dialogue trees work, what's going on in the world. Like, I know just enough that the things that I don't know are driving me crazy. But I'm sure that'll come together bit by bit. So, I'm trying to be in the... Well, it's good though. Like, I've said this before and I'll say it again, but I really love how Ocelot... You think I've done more in my day one than most people do in day one? That's entirely possible. I will absolutely believe that. I like to like sink my teeth hardcore into something and suck up as much of it as I possibly can. And I'm worried that if I don't do that, I'm not going to be able to get everything I want out of the game. So I could just debrief with Kim. My day one has been the longest day one ever. Yes, we've been playing this, even counting the like month that I had to take off. We've still been playing this multiple months of playing, and however many hours have gone into it. I feel like I should cut the body down on this day, though. I feel like Kim will be disappointed if I don't. I want to ask a question with Chat Hat on, but I have to figure out what it is. Thanks, Justin. All right. All right. Okay, I'm trying to think of the best way to word this. For context, for anybody who hasn't had, Chat Hat means that I'm actually going to be asking you a question. When I'm not wearing the Chat Hat, my questions are rhetorical and are generally not intended to be answered. When Chat Hat is on, you are allowed to respond. However, you are only allowed to respond within the parameters that I give you. All right. So I'm trying to think first of the right way to say this. Because basically, I'm trying to figure out if and of course I've spent so much time that I've like wasted a bunch of this time, but I've spent so much time that I'm trying to decide if I should cut the body down. And this is not the question, but the purpose of the question is to help me make up my mind whether I want to cut the body down or talk to the gardener right now. Okay. So this is... Do not append like longer explanations. Just give like an answer, A or B. Which is more likely to lead to a long scene or experience? I say more likely because I can talk and turn anything into a long experience. So there's always that wild card. But which is more likely within the scope of what the game itself presents me to result in a long scene or experience? The body or the gardener? All right. Unanimously, everyone is saying the body. Okay. Thank you. Perfect. Well done. Look at you. You held back. Okay. We'll do that next time. Thank you. See, that's so good. I will say, I know some people think it's ridiculous how picky I am about that, but that leads to us being able to do the thing that we want, which is me saying all the dumb shit that pops into my head about how things are fitting together. So, I appreciate that. All right. We're going to talk to the gardener then. We've got a few minutes. We can see what happens. Wait. I'm not sure if this one is building to something else. But you know what this sounds like to me? Since we did this the last time, I was standing outside the Whirling in Rags, and music appeared. This sounds like how the snow and the moonlight can make anything seem beautiful. And how strange and wonderful it is that in circumstances like that you can see beauty in places that in the normal light of day may be dirty, depressing, run down. But they'll talk about something bathing in the glow of the moon. And the way that snow carpets everything. So it can turn any scene into a winter wonderland. You know, it covers up the dirt, it covers up the dinginess, it covers up the mundanity of the world around you and transforms it into something else. It's really gorgeous. And then, of course, it's very atmospheric with the wind and the water and the seagulls. Yeah, an icy peninsula in moonlight. That's the sort of image. It feels cold but beautiful. It's really nice. Okay, well, it does sometimes take your attention. I'm sorry, but the brass in the daytime theme here is just gorgeous. But it does kind of fade away sometimes, so. All right, let us talk to this lady, and we'll go a little bit over if we need to, because that delay was my fault. Yeah, it is. It manages. Well, what's so interesting to me is how they managed to apparently take existing songs by the band that is the soundtrack. They took some of their existing music and like stripped the lyrics away, and it fits so well. It feels as though it's written for the game. It's really fascinating. Really fascinating. Quite unexpected. I don't know that I can think of many other games that have kind of found music instead of custom built music. Just really interesting. All right, let's talk to this gardener and see if she'll put Ocelot in his place about the fact that it's actually maybe not that weird to be gardening in a greenhouse specifically in March. Let's see. Oh, maybe if they kind of wrote the game with those particular songs in mind, if they were like, we should have this song be this part of the game, and that kind of shapes the way that part of the game feels. I could see that. That's really interesting, especially something as complex as this. Obviously, that's not going to be where the idea for all of the areas come from or anything like that, but it could be a factor in shaping how specifically it turned out. You notice how there's like a rainbow effect here on the snow? I don't know that happens with our actual real world lighting, but it may be some sort of property of the kind of light that they use, because their lights are not the same as ours. It's really interesting. That's interesting, serious thing. Okay, so then that wasn't the case, but we'll see. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and ask. I'm gonna start this conversation. I don't think it's an oil slick because if you look at it, it's clearly around the oh wow. It's been a little bit since we've had one of these. It's around. It's the circumference of the light, like where the edges of where the light falls, like perfectly at that angle. All right, boys, be friends. I really love how you can see the effect of this man's cigarette in the night air. It's really cool. All right. Boys, you're still going. I love the thought of people discovering this by accident halfway through playing the game, and I just get it like all the time because I'm so slow. But that much fuzzing around the edges, that seems surprising to me. Like, that doesn't seem quite like what I'm used to seeing. It makes me feel like it's got something to do with the different properties of the light that they have. But maybe I'm wrong. Alright, let's talk to this woman.
Hello again, officer. How are things?
Tell me, what exactly have you been doing in your greenhouse in March? I think that the portraits change because it's nighttime. I think that the coloring is a bit different.
Well, this might be the last snow we get. At least I hope so.
She points to her wheelbarrow, surprised at the question. Alright. She's going to explain some basic things about plants here.
Snow has nutrients in it. Helps everything green up in the spring. At least that's what my grandma always told me.
She smiles shyly. So she's been gathering the snow so that she can hold on to snow water and use that on the gardens when she's done. That's cute.
Yes, think about the cute grandma, not the weird snow.
The grandma's a bit too much, or what nutrients? What nutrients? This is weird. I'm still not sure why I'm interrogating her like this, but we're gonna do it because Ocelot's brain is suspicious. So what nutrients?
Nitrogen and sulfur mostly. And whatever factories and aerostatics exhale too, I guess.
Aerostatics. That's another one of those terms that doesn't quite exist in our world, to my knowledge. It's very interesting. So this is a red check. Cannot be retried. So the disingenuous grandma. Alright, well I have a pretty good chance of doing this one. But I don't think... I'm going to assume that it's not going to work because we keep getting good rolls on the ones that are hard. So I'm going to squint my eyes and look at her intently. Probably going to flub this one. No, I'm pretty sure we are. Alright, well let's go ahead and do it.
All you can see is the fact that her skin is a different color from yours. That's literally all. You're gonna have to run with that.
I want to load my save. I don't normally do this, but I am so uncomfortable with this. I auto-saved. Let's see. I think it auto-saved after I finished talking to Cuno. I'm pretty sure it did. It's pretty good about auto-saving after things like that. Otherwise, I can replay through that off stream and just do the exact options that I took before. Because I don't want to do this. I'm not save scumming, but I told you I was reserving the right to reserving the right to load a save when I wanted to. Yes, the boys started lifting. Okay. Let's do this. We're gonna load here. Just to check.
Fuck does Cuno care?
Okay, yeah, we're good.
Cuno doesn't.
Okay, so before we do anything else, we're gonna save properly. Okay. Dum da dum da dum 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 dum. Thank you, that makes me feel better. That's just not acceptable. And it is a game that does allow you to load saves. So I'm technically just using the game mechanics as intended. I'm just not okay with that. All right. What was the quick save button? It's a quick save button, right? F5, okay. We're gonna try that again.
I can't believe it's snowing again. It felt like springtime just a few days ago.
We may fail again.
Well, snow has
Yes, think about the cute grandma, not the weird snow.
nitrogen and sulfur mostly. And whatever factories and aerostatics exhale too, I guess.
We're gonna try this again, and we're gonna keep trying. Sorry. Watch us fail again. We'll see.
Stop looking at her. Look around. What do you see?
Much better. Okay. Because I'm glad that I got the lucky rolls on the other ones because I might not have loaded those, but this one, we're not going there. I'm not comfortable with it. Yes, first try, absolutely yes. All right. Yes, last one that wasn't canon. That was just Ocelot having one of his bad brains. A desynced, yes. That's Assassin's Creed, right? An intrusive thought. Yes, it does feel like an intrusive thought. Yes, we'll go with that. All right. What do you see? A traffic jam, the plaza, an entrance to the yard. Oh, man. Okay, I have to think about... Visual calculus is like, no, there's a thing that you can look around here that blows a hole in her suggestion about gathering the snow. Because the traffic jam could pollute the snow. I don't know what the plaza would have. An entrance to the yard. I'm not sure what is visual calculus getting at here. I'm gonna go with the traffic jam and see what's up with that. I think. No, I'm trying to think. Okay. So the plaza is, I think, this area out here. I was gonna like point. I was like, you can't see me pointing. So think that this is the plaza. The traffic jam is what's down here. And then there's the entrance to the yard, which is over there. What do I see that's suspicious? Maybe the fact that she's chilling with her snow in the super polluted traffic jam. How is that good for plants? Or the plaza, she's still so close. You can't still smell it? Or the traffic jam, is it that she's waiting to be able to go somewhere or do something and that's actually the real reason for something? Maybe she's involved with whatever shenanigans is going on that that we're supposed to be investigating with the jammy jam with her gardening. Because any chemicals or nutrients in the snow is just going to enter the soil once it melts. So what? Also, I'm pretty sure that stuff is generally not good. I don't know what I'm supposed to answer here. I don't know. I'm not sure what you're thinking here, Ocelot. try the traffic jam.
That's right. And the canal, the bookstore, the harbour gates. This is a great vantage point for keeping an eye on you.
Ocelot, you might be a little bit paranoid here, buddy. Granted, I have to remind myself that actually there might be reasons to be paranoid in his environment, in this situation, in what's going on. There are people who have their eye on him, and we know about that. There are political powers at play, and somebody was killed over whatever's going on here. At least one somebody. So there's definitely something going on here. So perhaps a little paranoia on the part of Ocelot is not a bad idea. Hi, Reese Puffs. Hello and welcome. We are playing some Disco Elysium. What have you been up to, friend? Like, she has seemed really chill. She has seemed like she doesn't have any personal issues with me, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. So I know Disco Elysium is a very different game than I think the last time you dropped by my stream I was playing Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. Oh man, okay. Well, thank you so much for the raid, friend, and welcome raiders. We'll dive back into this in just a second. I am Lauren the Flute. I am a variety streamer. I mostly play video games. I sometimes do music, and I want to get back into doing other things, but my health has been getting in the way of that for quite some time. But on Tuesdays, I play Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. On Thursdays, as you can see, I play Disco Elysium. My thing is that I talk a lot about story. I didn't beat Twilight Town yet. I got to the creepy steeple and left off there. So we'll see what happens next week. I'm very slow. Because I tend to take my time, take things apart, pick things apart, speculate on what's going on. And granted, Paper Mario: Thousand Year Door doesn't give you tons to go off of there, but I'm still doing that. I'm afraid I don't really vibe with most of the soundtrack to that game, unfortunately. I appreciate it for what it is, but yeah, no. So Disco Elysium is a bit of a content warning game sometimes, so I do want to caution anyone, if you're not familiar with this game, it can be a bit heavy and a bit dark. It's like the one like mature rated game that I played on stream, and we are kind of up to our elbows in investigating something, so this will be very spoilery if this is a game you think you want to play. So this is part of why I'm stalling on continuing, because right now it feels like what's going on is very like low-key, low stakes, but it might step up a bit more. So if you want to hang around, folks, you're more than welcome to. We're going to be wrapping up soon-ish. If you think that Paper Mario: Thousand Year Door sounds more your jam, feel free to come by on Tuesdays, and that's a much chiller, easier like jump-in point. If you like music, I do that sometimes too, and I will be putting out hopefully a couple of covers for Pride Month in the next few weeks on my YouTube channel. So thank you. Yes, go rest, and good luck with your Nuzlocke. I hope that it goes well. All right, everybody else, we're going to go ahead and dive back into this game, and I'm probably going to cut my little introduction out of the stream archive. So, all right, so we got a brief Raider interlude, but back to the game at hand. Do I ask this woman if she's keeping an eye on us? Like, that feels like a dumb thing to just straight up and say here. I feel like keeping it to myself is the right thing to do for now, because if she's keeping an eye on me, I don't have anything on her. I don't know her. I don't know who she's with. This is a really bad idea to push her. So I'm going to keep it to myself. I'm going to exercise discretion as Ocelot.
Glad to have been of service. Now you know the locals are keeping tabs on you.
I don't know if that means that I'm supposed to have actually pushed that. Yes, continue to appear incompetent. Yeah. Well, because like the thing is, like, I don't want to, if she is doing this, if I just like, I'm like, oh, okay, like then she won't report back. If I say, you're watching me, aren't you? She'll report that back to anyone that she happens to be affiliated with, and it could get ugly later. I definitely, okay, no, I trust Kim. I definitely, like, Ocelot should not trust himself. We do not trust Ocelot. But I am proceeding with caution. It's funny because I immediately, my initial reaction to her was like, oh, she's probably just this like little bit character who's just here to be like a nice, friendly person that's not up to anything. She's just sitting here and she seems tired. But Ocelot has established her as a potential enemy, which is really interesting to me because that's not something I would have thought of. And his questioning what she's doing with the greenhouse in March. Maybe it's because I actually haven't spent enough time living in cold climates. But I thought that was the point of a greenhouse, was that you could do stuff year round. Granted, it's not a fancy greenhouse, and maybe you can only do that in a non-fancy greenhouse in places that don't get super cold, like that don't actually get snow, for example. I don't know. But Ocelot thought that was weird, and I didn't. Maybe because I grew up in Texas. You know? It's a very different atmosphere than Ravachol. All right. So now we know the locals are keeping tabs on you. Okay, what did she say to what is this fuck the police business?
Me?
She's uncomfortable. Maybe you should drop this line of questioning.
Oh, I didn't actually ask her about this. I'm going to actually ask. The street sign says fuck the police.
Oh. Well, I didn't write it there. I'm just sitting here.
What about the other sign? Pigs go home. Who are these pigs? Now that I don't fully trust her, I want to poke a little harder at this. Whereas I could be nice. But here I'm playing, this is playing stupid. Who are these pigs? It's like I don't know that those are cops. Maybe she'll say it, maybe she won't. What about the other sign? Pigs go home. Who are these pigs?
I don't know anything about that either. As I said, I didn't write it.
Pig is a widely used term for members of the police. It's not loving.
You don't say, Encyclopedia.
No need to worry. We are not saying you did.
Kim is trying to keep me from grilling this poor innocent lady.
Okay. Well, I didn't.
She leans back, shoulders relaxing. Okay, so gotta leave. All right. Well, I think we can safely say that this has been an interesting game, an interesting session, at least for me. Oh man, this music. I'm gonna turn it down a bit though so I can say my final conclusion-y stuff. We could even go to, hold on. We can do this. Yes, amazing. All right. Thank you all so much for being here. Yes, I had a really interesting, so I think we'll name this will be the Cuno chapter. Thank you all so much for being here. As a reminder, like I should be able to continue doing this for the foreseeable future. I will be playing Paper Mario 1000 Year Door on Tuesdays. I will be playing this on Thursday. I really want to have the stamina to start doing more streams. I've even thought about doing some streaming on YouTube to kind of see how that goes. I've done it once or twice. It might be nice. I will keep you posted if I do that. There will be more music, so if you follow me on YouTube, you should see my special Pride covers going out. And I've got some other projects underway, and yeah, I started grabbing clips for the first of my video essays. So there will be stuff to look forward to, despite my brain trying not to do anything and my body falling apart. I'm doing my best to actually get things done that I want to do. So thank you all. Yes. Follow if you enjoy what you see here, and hopefully we'll see you again. Again, don't forget our Discord and my social media. That's the best way to keep in touch. I will see you lovely people later. Bye.